Hey everyone, I'm Shad Dales and welcome into our latest Trade to Black podcast. For today, we're breaking down a question that comes up time and time again. Why is federal cannabis legalization in the U.S. taking so long? The short answer, it's complicated. But over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the major political, economic, and institutional roadblocks and show you why, even with growing public support, we're still stuck in neutral. So with that, let's dive into it. Let's first start with Congress, because that's where federal legalization either happens or it dies. Even though 70% of Americans now support legalization, we're still dealing with deep partisan divides. Republicans in general have been more hesitant to back federal legalization, citing concerns over public safety, youth access, and the role of the FDA. Meanwhile, many Democrats support reform, but can't seem to push legislation through without full control of both chambers. And when they do try, like with the MORE Act or Safer Banking, those bills often get watered down, blocked in committee, or buried under other priorities. So legalization is less about public opinion, it's more about who controls the gavel. Then there's the tension between the state and federal level, which we know a lot about right now. 40 plus states have already legalized some form of cannabis, whether it's medical, adult use, CBD, or hemp. But marijuana is still Schedule 1 federally in the same category as heroin. This patchwork creates confusion. State licensed cannabis companies operate legally at the local level, but are treated like criminals federally. That affects everything from banking access to interstate commerce to tax codes, all while the federal government turns a blind eye. But the growing concern, it's becoming more and more mainstream. And frankly, some lawmakers are fine with the status quo that they get the tax revenue and job creation at the state level without having to stick their necks out in the line in Washington. This is political play at its best. Let's now talk about the DEA and the FDA. These are two agencies that have played a huge role in these delays. The DEA even now remains hesitant to reclassify or deschedule cannabis, despite pressure from the HHS under the Biden administration and now the Trump administration. They continue to lean on decades of old drug enforcement frameworks. And the FDA, they've been slow to provide guidance on medical cannabis and CBD, creating regulatory gray zones that keep businesses in limbo. This kind of institutional inertia means that even with the political will exist, bureaucratic drag can kill momentum, and we've seen a lot of this. Now let's focus on lobbying, another issue. Don't underestimate the role of lobbying and special interests. Big pharma, alcohol, tobacco, and even parts of the prison industrial complex, they all have reasons to either slow walk cannabis legalization or shape in their favor. According to Open Secrets, lobbying dollars related to cannabis legislation have skyrocketed in recent years, but not all of it's coming from pro-cannabis groups. Some industries see federal legalization as a threat to their bottom line and are working behind the scenes to stall progress. And quite honestly, it's working, and that has to change. Now, as we head into the 2026 mid-election cycle, cannabis once again is becoming political football. Before the current Trump administration, President Biden signaled support for rescheduling, but stopped short of backing full federal legalization. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's position is still somewhat unknown. His recent DEA nominee, Terry Cole, refused to take a clear stance on marijuana reform during his Senate hearing. So while reform is technically on the table, and Terry Cole has mentioned that one of his first priorities will be to review the rescheduling process, it still does not confirm rescheduling will indeed happen. And right now, it's not a top priority for either side, and that's what's making this still uncertain. So here's the bottom line. Federal cannabis legalization isn't just about votes, it's about power control and money. Until these forces align, progress at the federal level will continue to move more slowly than what most people in the cannabis industry would like, even as state markets continue to evolve. So people from the cannabis industry, it's not the news that you want to hear, but we are making progress. So there you have it. If you get a chance, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's keep this conversation going. Leave your comments below and let us know, do you think federal legalization is going to happen in the next few years, or is this going to take another decade for it to happen? Either way, it's a hot topic. We'd love to get your feedback. In the meantime, I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for checking in to our latest Trade to Black podcast.